All right, well, good Saturday morning, all. I'm doing something a little different today. I have to run a few errands and little stuff, run around down near the Galleria area. I'm going to take the Cub, and I'm dual audio recording today. I'm using the built-in GoPro audio, or the audio adapter with the Cardo mic that I've been using for a while. And I've got the Helmic also in here on a dedicated audio recorder. Levels should be about the same as far as the peaks and that sort of thing, because they're both set for auto level right now. But I'm going to compare the sound of the Helmic against the Cardo. So they're both mounted in the chin of the helmet here, side by side. So we should see how they work. And I chose to do the Cub for this because there's no windscreen, and I'll have plenty of wind in the face of the helmet. So we'll see how this plays out. My leg shield for the Cub and a couple of other small parts that I ordered for it showed up yesterday. I won't be able to get to that install or wrenching until I get back from the Spiderfest trip up in Missouri. It's not going to be enough time. But I will certainly re-engage that project as soon as I return next week, or I guess the following week. And a few of the viewers and commenters have been so kind on the missing grommet solution or situation for the Cub here. I have one viewer that says he lives about 30 miles away from the GV factory in Italy, and he's contacted them, and they're going to try to get him a grommet. Another UK viewer has sourced a similar kit, and his dealer says that they think they can get the part, so we'll find out. If not, then I'll just go to a local Fastenal or Ace Hardware and try to find some grommets that are snug enough to fit the hole in the windshield, and also have the correct inner diameter for the little nylon bushing that holds it in place. Don't do it. And I'm running very late for my scheduled rendezvous this morning. I had so many things getting out of the house. Kept me running back and forth. I couldn't get out as early as I'd hoped. I'm about 30 minutes late right now, and this is not the high-speed vehicle to make up time. That's okay. I think he'll understand. Besides, it is a really nice morning. I wish I didn't have to hurry anywhere. I'd much rather just fart around and go ride some backcountry roads. But I've got a lot of stuff that's stacked up for this weekend and the next 2 days of next week, so I gotta pack it all in, get everything accomplished before my trip, or it's just gonna be weighing heavy on my mind the whole trip, and that's a distraction I don't want to deal with. I saw another Cub here in Houston. I'm sure there are a few now. They've gotten circulated around and people have purchased them. But he was riding on the I-10 access road right past my office. I looked down on the road from the 3rd floor and saw him tootling along. He was doing what I do very infrequently, but I still do it occasionally, and that's riding with no gear. He had no helmet, no gloves, no jacket, nothing. He was just, it even looked like he had sandals on. Yeah, that's a bad idea. But, yeah, he's tootling along in town and enjoying the Cub. Good for him. These things really are a blast to ride. As long as you set your expectations that you're not going anywhere fast. Once you get that out of the way, these things are a hoot. had a viewer commenter last week or maybe 2 weeks ago that said I don't know how any adult male could buy and ride one of those, and I tried to be as diplomatic with my response as possible, but you know, if you can't ride one of these and have fun and have a grin on your face, then maybe, just maybe, you have some deeper issues that you need to work out. Some macho syndrome that you haven't dispatched with in your youth. I don't know. I gave up trying to impress people with looks and fancy this and that a long time ago, and just decided, you know, I'm gonna have fun. It's a whole lot better, a whole lot easier. The only person I have to impress and please is myself, and that's that. Somebody just replied back to that comment, the original guy's comment yesterday or the day before, and said, you know, the Cub, or this platform is the most selling vehicle in the world. You know, Honda's sold over 100 million of them, and I think he was kind of on the same tack. I'm gonna cheat. This is not gonna work out for me today. I think he was on the same rough idea that I was. It's like, dude, if you can't smell the coffee, you've got other issues. And I get it. You know, if you're a moose or a yeti and you're huge and you just don't fit on it, yeah, okay. I totally understand. You know, if it's not something that physically fits you, and you're going to look like a circus animal on a tricycle, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not knocking you or faulting you there. That's for sure. But if it's just because it's a macho thing, you know, you think it's too girly or too wimpy or whatever. Oh, come on, man. Relax a little. The only small scoot that I feel a little self-conscious about riding around in traffic is my C3, just because it's a 50cc and it's limited on its acceleration and definitely on its top end. In Houston or any busy city, yeah, the traffic moves so fast and people are merciless in cars. You know, that light turns green, they want to nail the gas and be going 50 right away. And the C3 just can't do that. It scoots up pretty good from 0 to about 20, 25, and then it just tapers off, and it'll do an indicated, you know, it'll wrap the speedo, because I've got a de-restrictor on the CVT and the clutch and all that. But it's got a top speed of about 46, 47 on GPS, so just shy of 50, but it takes a really, really long time to get there. You know, once you hit 30, it's a slow climb for the rest of that range, and momentum is the name of the game. You don't want to slow down for anything. 0 to top speed on that thing is measured in you know, minutes rather than seconds. It's pretty bad. But, you know, it's a 50cc. You can't expect too much out of it. So that's why I don't ride it around town all the time. If I'm going to be taking it just surface streets to the grocery store, or, you know, just right around locally, I don't mind it. But any distance of any kind or on faster roads, no, I skip that. Just because I don't want to be a hubcap. I don't know what I'm recording in today. I forgot to check my setting. I'm probably in 4K today. Yeah, that makes a problem for the gauges, like I discussed in my previous vlog. I can't get the gauges out because my processor in my machine, although it's super fast, it's not the latest generation. So the GoPro Quick software won't display 4K content, and I can't get the gauges and then export it. Anyway, so for any of the 4K videos that I do, it's just going to have to be without gauges. I'll just stare at this one every now and then. Hey, 40. Oops, neutral, not on neutral. So just musing on my last trip with this, the Austin Coda trip for MotoGP. I was surprised at how well it did on the highway. It's limited, that's for sure. On the flats with no headwind, I could get easily over 60 miles an hour. I think it got up to 62, 63 GPS for a few stretches, but I wasn't really ringing it out. I wasn't intentionally trying to do a top speed run. I was just kind of holding it there to see what it would do. And when I do that, I'm not holding wide open throttle. I'm holding pretty close, maybe 90%, and just leave it there, let it run, see where it settles out. The few times that I was running it wide open throttle were up hills or against headwind, and that's where you're going to slow down. If I started out at say 55 up a hill or against a really nasty headwind, I would slow down to around 50 to 52, so I'd lose anywhere between 3 and 5 miles per hour. The worst one, I think, was when I was near Bastrop. The park area there has some pretty steep hills, and I think I started one of them at 60 and I ended up at 48 by the top. So 60 at the bottom of it, and I lost 10 miles an hour going up the hill, but it's a pretty steep hill. So anybody that lives in the mountains or a real hilly area, if you're planning on doing back roads and highways and stuff where there are those large hills to deal with, you can expect to be able to maintain 45 would be realistic, but anything above that's probably not going to happen. So as long as you don't have logging trucks running 80 miles an hour up the hills to run you over, you should be okay. And I hope both of these machines are recording. You never know with the GoPro. Boy, I tell you, that thing's starting to really peeve me off. I've switched out the GoPro, I've alternated the two that I have. I've got two Hero 7 Blacks. I've changed out batteries, SD cards, you name it, and I just have constant problems with that. Not recording the audio properly, or it'll just lock up the camera, which is the more common occurrence. It just locks, period. It flashes, the LED on the back side of the screen. I'm looking at it now, it's flashing. Okay, good for you, man. For all purposes, it looks like it's working. And when you go to shut down the video, you press the button to stop recording, and it just hangs. The screen comes up and you see the screen on, but it's frozen and it doesn't do anything. And it will not shut off. It will run the battery dry until it just croaks. So the only way that you can shut it down is to do the forced power off or forced reset routine, which is holding down the shutter or record button and then the power or mode button on the side. So you hold them both down for 10 seconds and it forces the processor to restart and dump the software, and that works. But when you do that, of course, you lose any recording that might have been going, and chances are it wasn't actually writing out to a file anyway. And the other artifact that remains from that is usually the gauges do not work for the next recording or two. The gauges are stuck at whatever value they got last time, and yeah. And that's assuming that it records any data or has any gauge data at all. Sometimes you'll go in and you'll try to turn on the gauge option and it just says no GPS data present. So they've definitely got a firmware bug in this thing that causes it to hiccup, and I hope that that's resolved sometime soon. But, you know, maybe the DJI action cam is going to force GoPro to get off their ass, because they've got some serious issues in the camera and in the firmware and in the microphone accessory that have just been out there forever, and they don't seem to be addressing it. Either they can't or they won't, or they just don't care. And I'm quite sure they've got plenty of money. It's not a matter of not enough resources to put on the task to fix it. They just think that it's not a big enough deal and make everybody live with it because there's no competition. Well, guess what? There's getting ready to be competition, GoPro. So I looked at the Garmin Verb and a couple of the others, and you know, they're decent. They're more expensive on average than a lot of the other cameras out there, and I'm not really sure if they're worth that money. If they work, then yeah, they're worth the money in comparison to the GoPro anyway. I don't remember what it was. Something turned me off. I think it was just the size and the weight and the format. They're a little funky shaped, kind of a little cube, oversized cube, and you can only side mount them on a helmet. It's not really going to work in the front, and I think the options for mounting them are a lot more limited than GoPro, just because the ecosystem doesn't have all the accessories and everybody jumping on the bandwagon. So I don't know. We'll sort it out. There has to be a solution. We can fix it. Here's my speedometer for today. No overlay. Actually, I think I may have reset this thing to 1080p last night. So hopefully if the audio is doing what it's supposed to, I will swap back and forth from GoPro adapter audio to Helmic on the dedicated recorder, on my Zoom recorder. And I'll compare the two back and forth, you know, in stream, maybe while I'm talking in a few of these next segments or something, and I'll have, you know, a note on the bottom, GoPro audio, and then I'll switch the audio track over and go with Helmic, and I'll note that. So we'll see how the difference is. I did a couple of tests just in the house, hooked up to the Helmic, and I was blowing across the surface of it. It's got a, I'll show some close-ups, maybe I'll have an inset picture here. It's a 3D printed kind of oval shaped enclosure. It has a microphone inside it, and there's foam along the top of it to prevent, you know, wind noise and that sort of thing. Now, I was blowing across it and I was getting very strong wind noise in the mic, but that's an extreme case because, you know, of course, this thing is going to be in a helmet, and direct air blowing on it should be somewhat minimized. So we'll see. When Troy Siam, I always forget his name, I apologize, Troy from Cycle World, when he reviewed it online, they were showing their videos, and when he's out on the track, even going, you know, 150, 180 miles an hour on the track, you can still hear him. There is significant wind noise, of course. I mean, that's to be expected, but it sounded okay. You could hear him. The one potential drawback that I noticed right away in my test audio is it sounds more tinny. The microphone capsule, I guess, just isn't as high quality or sensitive as the Cardo's mic. It has a higher pitched quality to it, a little more hollow sounding, and the Cardo is pretty full voice. It sounds good on all the recordings I've done over the last couple of months. I'm pretty impressed with it. So we'll see. Find out if there's a significant difference. And if that's the answer for, you know, a good helmet vlog setup. I'm trying to come up with a recipe that I can recommend to people. I've had a lot of people ask. Then that's what it'll be. You know, you can buy the microphones separately from Cardo, and they're not really any more expensive than all the other mics out there. Probably $35, $40. No feet, no feet. All right. The Cub balance is pretty good at low speed, but it's not quite as good as my PCXs, I would guess. It does okay though. I think the PCX just has a lower center of gravity. And I feel bad that I'm so late for my morning appointment. Just meeting a buddy of mine for breakfast, and he's probably been sitting there for 30, 45 minutes waiting on me. It sucks. Oh, nice stop there, doofus. This is the kind of stuff we have to deal with in Houston. People just blow stop signs. It's an Uber driver, it looks like. He's got a tool. They don't even bother slowing down for stop signs and intersections and right turns. They just blow them at 20 miles an hour like that guy did. That's why I don't travel in the right lane near intersections. A lot of people lately have been critiquing my riding style and my rolling stops, and, you know, saying I roll stops. Yeah, I do. I definitely do. But I always slow down to walking speed or slower. I just make sure nothing's coming before I blast out there. Even when I'm in a car, same story. I don't run lights, I don't run stop signs. I might roll them, you know, 1 or 2 miles per hour, but there's a big difference between lightly rolling it and blowing it at 15 or 20 miles an hour. Never even looking. Go, dude. Don't make me unleash my massively loud horn here. When I pull the leg shield off of this thing to do the replacement there, I'll also dig into this front cover and see what kind of room I have under there to put a different horn, something with a little more bite. This one is shrill enough, people seem to hear it and take notice of it. They don't really care, but I always like the bigger, louder horns because cagers always equate the they always equate a louder, larger, you know, deeper sounding horn with a bigger vehicle, so they wake up and stop being a tool. When it's a small, dinky horn, they, I don't know, psychologically, subconsciously, whatever, they just ignore it. They don't care. It's smaller than them, so they don't feel that it's a threat, and they don't want to pay attention to it. But instinctively, a deeper, louder horn, like a train horn, man, everybody, it's that visceral reaction. You, oh, Jesus, you know, jump back. Take the back road, see if it gets me anywhere. Getting tired of these lights, that's for sure. I've hit every single one, I think. Have to go back on the video and prove my point. Sometimes the timing on those lights just does not work out for taking the access road. You hit every one of them and it takes you forever. Boom. so bad. I'm way, way, way late. He's probably been sitting there. Hopefully he ate already and didn't just wait on me this whole time. Keep looking for a side stand.